The all-new Toyota Sequoia comes exclusively as a hybrid, but this isn't exactly a hybrid for fuel economy as much as it is for power and torque. So how does that affect fuel economy here for this TRD Pro model? Let's go find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2023 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. In today's test, we're going to head out on the highway, do 30 miles out and 30 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour to get you a realistic fuel economy number for this big orange truck. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Interestingly, they don't provide separate EPA testing numbers for the TRD Pro model, which I find pretty interesting because between these tires and the tow mirrors and the roof rack that are on this one, which are admittedly both optional, I cannot imagine this is going to achieve the 22 MPG highway that the EPA says it should be able to get. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get going on the test. But there are a lot of things to like about this off-road version of the Sequoia. If you do want to see more on it, check the links in the description. We've got a sound test of the JBL audio system as well as a DM review. So why do we do this test? Well, as I said, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this Sequoia 22 MPG, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are plenty of people who take their vehicles on long road trips and would like to know what sort of numbers you can realistically expect in the real world. In order to do that, we're going to head over to the gas station here, fill up, go out, do those 60 miles, come back, fill up at the same pump using the same 3-click fueling method, and get a result. A few things to note for today. Outside temperature is 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Our tire pressures have been set to their door placard 35 psi cold. And we're going to run the climate control at 73 degrees auto. Pulling up to the pump here, running on electricity only. Something that we're probably not going to be having happen at all when we're out on the highway. Now, we do typically run 100 miles in our testing, but because this is sort of a niche model car that's not going to get very good fuel economy anyway, we're going to short it down a little bit and then run this test on the next Sequoia we get, which hopefully won't have the big tow mirrors, won't have the big roof rack, won't be a TRD Pro, and it also won't be winter because we know that can negatively affect fuel economy a little bit as well. All right, let's hop out and fill it up. 2.838 gallons going in for our first fill, and I do appreciate that the new 3.4, 3.5 liter, depending on how you cut it, turbocharged motor for the new Sequoia and Tundra, it doesn't require premium fuel. You can safely run regular, so I like that. Before we get the vehicle started here, we're going to have to set up all of our shit that I totally forgot to do. Before we actually start the motor, we're going to reset our trip computer and our GPS, and we're ready to begin. We've got 3 different drive modes in the Sequoia. We've got Eco, Normal, and Sport. We'll be running this test in Eco. We're going to take it nice and easy over to the highway, about 3.3 miles away, and pick up the test from there. Now, the point of this test isn't to get the best possible fuel economy number. We're trying to get a realistic number for cruising at 70 miles per hour. And in order to do that, we're going to get up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace and set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour. That should allow us to average about 70 over the whole test. Getting up to speed, we're hearing these all-terrain tires start to sing the song of their people. It's actually not too bad as all-terrain tires go. They did a good job with noise cancellation in this car, but you do definitely hear that big old roof rack up there. Looks like the vehicle's speedometer is about a mile per hour below what our GPS is showing. We're going to set in at 73, 74 maybe, because Toyotas usually like to go 1 mile per hour below what they're set at. Okay, yeah, it looks like 74 is giving us about 72 on the GPS, so we're going to set in there. Initial highway observations, yeah, not super quiet. You can actually feel vibration on the roof here from that roof rack, so that's disappointing. But Other than that, we're going to get off this concrete section here and see how the rest of the test goes. We'll catch up with you at the end. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. Coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the Sequoia TRD Pro with the tow mirrors and the top rack thing that causes the roof to vibrate, we are averaging, according to the dash, 17.5 miles per gallon. That is about 4 miles per gallon below the EPA estimate for the all-wheel drive Sequoia, although, as I said at the beginning, there is no separate EPA test with the TRD Pro model, which I still find a little surprising. Not the best highway cruiser, at least with all the resistance things we have going on here. The seat bottoms are a little short. That's something I noticed in the Tundra as well. I guess overall I've been comfortable though. There is a good bit of vibrating though when you go over big bumps or you bump the subwoofer quite a bit up. Just a little disappointing there. I am ready to get out of this truck, but I am also curious to see what we end up getting for fuel economy. Should be able to average up to, or round up rather, to 18 by the time we get back to the pump. There's something else I wanted to say, and I was going to point out that it rained a bunch, and that wasn't really supposed to happen today. So admittedly, this is going to be a kind of a worst case scenario or lower average test. If you were to run this on a dry summer day, you'd probably see an extra mile per gallon or two. But we still did average nearly 70 miles per hour, just about 69.5 there. So, all things considered, it was a pretty clean run. But I'm going to get this back to the pump, top it off, and we'll see what we get. Oh, and gas has gone up by 10 cents since I headed out. That's a bit unfortunate. 3.290 gallons going in for our final fill. 60.8 was our total miles traveled, so 60.8 divided by 3.290 is giving us 18.48 miles per gallon, which is going to round down to 18, which is a little bit higher than our dash readout, but combining in, I think 18 is a pretty safe number for a little bit of a colder weather test here in the TRD Pro Sequoia. Now, like I said, we understand that the point of this truck is not for fuel economy, so nothing here in this test is saying that we were expecting amazing numbers given this hybrid powertrain system. But I want to point out for people who don't understand that hybrid doesn't necessarily mean efficient, especially when you're cruising on the highway. You're not getting the effects of a hybrid powertrain. Now, if this were Atkinson cycle motor or something like that, then maybe you might be seeing a little bit of extra effects. And yes, arguably, if you're going down a hill, then the hybrid can kind of charge up the battery a little bit and then use that when you're going back up the hill. There can be some minor benefits, but all things considered, this is still a big vehicle with big, knobby, meaty tires and a giant roof rack on the top. So I think if you've got a normal Sequoia, you should be able to cruise over 20 miles per gallon at 70 miles per hour in decent weather temps, but consider this a little bit of a worst case scenario. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Sequoia, check the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.